Hello everyone, Richard here again. Today I'm going to be replacing the front-facing camera on my Samsung Galaxy Note 4. It's a little long in the tooth at this point, but this phone still works great for me and I love it. Also, as part of changing the front-facing camera, that will also change the proximity sensors and the infrared emitter from this phone. It's all part of the same little piece. So I'll be showing you how to replace the front-facing camera, the proximity sensors, and the infrared emitter all at the same time. I like to add value with my videos, and I certainly think I'm going to do that with this video because I learned something the hard way with this phone. Okay, this is the Samsung Note 4, Galaxy Note 4. But what I didn't know is that there's 3 variants of this same phone. There's 2 with an Exynos CPU and 1 with a Snapdragon CPU. Now, unfortunately for me, I didn't know that if you have to order the correct camera for your version of the phone. So I just ordered a camera off eBay, front-facing camera off eBay that was listed as compatible with a Samsung Galaxy Note 4 N10. Well, this is a Samsung Galaxy. It is an N10, but it is an N10A. So you need the right camera for your model of phone. And I ordered the wrong one and it didn't work, obviously. So you need to make sure that you got the right model number. Now, the N10A is one from AT&T, and the N10A is the one with the Snapdragon CPU, not the other 2 variants that have the Exynos CPU. So you need to have the right one. Now, to check your model number, you can even look at the back, remove the battery and look at the sticker on the back, or you can just go to your setup menu. So I'll just do that here. Go to the setup menu, general tab, and then scroll down to about device. And then in the center, you'll see right there, device name Samsung-SM910A. So had I known that there was 3 different variants, not just one, I would have ordered the right one, but I didn't. Okay, so my mistake, but now you guys know before you order your camera. Hopefully you haven't ordered it yet, and if you did, hopefully you ordered the correct one for your phone. Okay, so that's step 1. You got to figure that out. And the way I know what CPU I have is I downloaded an app called CPU-Z, and I'm just going to open that up for you. And if you look here, it says Qualcomm Crate 450. Well, that's the Snapdragon. That's the only one. So that CPU-Z program told me which type of CPU I have. So pretty cool. Next thing I'm going to show you is the cameras themselves. So you can see that really you can't tell any difference between the 2 of them. So let me see what we got. Okay, we've got 2 here. And on the left, I have the one that didn't work. And on the right is the one I'm going to install right now. When I installed the one on the left, I got camera failed right away. Okay, I haven't installed this one yet. I'm going to install this next. So this camera did not work on my phone because it's not for my phone. It's for an N10, not an N10A. So my mistake. Again, you look at this camera and you see a couple of other things I want to point out. The front light sensor comes as part of this array as well as your infrared emitter. So if you have a problem with your proximity sensor light array, then this whole assembly will replace that front proximity sensor. Plus, if you have a problem with your infrared emitter, then you have to buy this whole unit to replace that as well. Luckily, these are real cheap. I got them for under $5 delivered. So, I live and learned on this one. But, just so you guys know, they are different. Now flip them over, and you saw that they have different numbers on them. I don't know if you guys can read the numbers on there, but one says C and one says F. And on the back, it's made much more clear by large lettering, right? C and F. And everything else looks identical. I mean, you just can't tell. All right, so I'm going to install the F version, this one here, which hopefully will solve my problem. Let me show you the problem I'm having right now. All right, the problem I'm having right now, if I open up my camera, and it's on selfie mode, meaning it's going to be the front-facing camera. Server error occurred, restart camera. That's the error I'm having right now. Now, when I had the C camera in there, the one that didn't work, it said camera failed. it didn't even give me this error. It said camera failed. So I put the old camera back in. This is the error I was getting before. If you need to test the proximity sensor or the infrared emitter, I'll give you the way to do that next. So what you go is you go to phone here, and then you're going to type in this this sequence of keys. So we're going to go star, pound, 0, star, pound. And there you get the diagnostic screen on this phone, which is really cool, right? So here, again, if you want to test everything, you've got all these buttons and all these things are diagnostic tests. But the only ones we're really concerned about really is, first of all, the camera, the front cam. So I'm just going to click that button, front cam. Warning, camera failed. All right? So, okay. So we know the front camera's not working. I already knew that. Now, if you want to test the infrared sensor, you can press the button IR LED. That's the infrared LED. It's not a sensor, sorry. It's an emitter. And then you can test this against whatever. I don't know. Probably a Samsung TV or something. I'm not sure, but here's all the tests for that. Up, down, whatever, right? That would be controlling some sort of device, powering it up or turning the volume up or channel, a TV of some type, probably a Samsung. Okay, so let's go back. And the next thing that's involved in that camera is the sensor. And the sensor is a proximity sensor. It's a light sensor. And you can see that it's working right now because it's getting all this information, right? And watch this. When you get your hand close to the sensor, see that? So it knows. So the sensor's working fine. I don't know about the emitter, the LED, but that's how you test all those things. And again, to get to this screen, it's star, pound, 0, star, pound, or asterisk, hashtag, 0, asterisk, hashtag, however you want to say that. And all those tests are here, including everything basically that you want to test on the phone, like a vibration. You can hear it, so you can feel it too. So, anyways, that's how you test those components. In my case, I know the camera's not working. Everything else is working, but when I'm done installing the new array, and you can see if I put the array where it's going to go, which is right up here, you can see where it's going to fit. And there's the camera, the proximity sensor and the camera there. That's where it's going. So let's get on with that. First thing I'm going to do is power down the phone. Hopefully you know how to do that. Hold down the power button, choose power off, power off. And next we're going to remove the battery, and we'll do that in the next scene. The reason I cut that scene from to this one is because I use a particular case on mine. I'm using a 11,600 milliamp battery on this and a protective case. So I'm not sure whether this is available or not, but there's similar ones available, and I'll put a link to all this stuff in the video description below for everybody. And this is the primary reason why I went with the Note 4, because I can actually update the battery and change the battery very easily. I can get to the battery in about 15 seconds. Try doing that on a Note 8. It's like just not possible. Another thing about the Note 8 over this Note 4 is that the rear-facing camera on the Note 8 is not as high a megapixel as this one. This one's 16. The Note 8, I believe, is 12. Anyways, let's get the back off. I just wanted to show the standard phone with the standard back to get the back off. And there's a little tab here in the top corner, and all you need to do is just put your fingernail underneath it and lift up that corner and pry the back off like that. All right, so there's the back. Next thing to do is remove the battery, and there's a little tab down here. Just lift up the tab at the bottom and pull it away. When you put it back, make sure that you put those contacts against these contacts here, and you're off to the races again. And again, it would go back the other way. The contacts first, and then back down on the bottom of the phone. So those are two components now taken off. Next, we're going to have to take out the micro SD card right there, and the SIM right there. So those components are out of there. And the last component that's easily taken off is the S Pen right there. Okay, so that's the writing pen. We got that out of there. Now we've got all these screws to take off from the back, and I'll show you what I use to do that. Well, there's several ways to do it. You can buy these pry kits from Amazon or eBay. I'll put links for that. And they have, and I strongly suggest that you use nothing but something like this. Do not use anything metal to pry open your phone, because you're more than likely going to break the phone. So, here's what comes in those kits. Of course, this is a lot more than when you get in a kit. Normally, you get like one of these a couple of these guitar type picks. This is like a bass pick, and you'll get a pry tool like such, and a screwdriver, one of these pry tools, and probably a suction cup like this. Who knows? But I'll put the links in the video description below. What I'm going to be using is the pry tools primarily, and maybe I'll use one of the guitar picks. Not sure. Bass picks, I should say. This is a really heavy guitar pick. Again, all plastic, less likely to wreck your phone. And I'm going to use a Phillips screwdriver. It's going to be a PH or Phillips 00 bit that I'm going to use on the back of the phone. So let's get that stuff out of the way for now. I want to show you where all the screws are on this thing. All right. And hopefully we can see them all here. Yeah. All right. We've got one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 separate screws that got to come out of there. I'm going to take them out. I may do a time lapse on that, or I just may take them all off. And just remember, counterclockwise to remove, clockwise to put them back in, and or some people say lefty loosey, righty tighty, but I like counterclockwise, clockwise. Okay, so let's. I'm gonna take all the screws out, and then we'll go from there. There we have all 16 screws removed. Now we can remove what they call the mid frame. And what we're going to do is we're going to pry this mid frame, this plastic portion, what they call the mid frame, off the phone. Now, when I first did this, there was an adhesive all the way along the edge of the screen, the glass screen, all the way around, that was attached to the mid frame. So I had to pull on that very carefully. Do not pry hard between the glass and the mid frame. You'll break the glass, and then you'll need a new screen, and you don't want to do that. Like I said, all the 16 screws that are out of there, I'm going to use my little pry tools here, see how I can do. I'm going to start at the bottom, see if I can pry from the bottom up, and release this phone. Now again, this is going to be a lot easier for me because I've been here before, right? So see, if I just pry a little bit here, you can see that I get motion on the glass right off the bat, right? Because the adhesive is not there anymore. Basically, last time I took that off, the adhesive was worn off in the process of doing that. So I'm going to start down at the bottom. I find that starting at the bottom of the phone is the easiest part for me anyway. And there we go. Pried it off from the bottom. So start down here. Be careful with the tools. Don't overdo it. And do not use anything that's not plastic or a tool like this. I'm sure the guitar pick would have worked there as well, but I like these tools because they have that angle to them. So mid frame, boom, off it goes. And don't pry here, you'll bust that right off, okay? Anywhere where there's small amounts of plastic, don't pry, you'll break it. And off it goes. It's out of there. All right, so next, what we need to do is remove the main board from the phone. Okay, and what we need to do that is a couple of things. Number one, these connectors at the bottom have to come off. And I'll zoom in down here for this. There we go. You'll see there's another tab here. So let's just get rid of those right off the bat. And again, I'm using my tool, and these just pop off. So I'll lift them up like that. And notice one is longer than the other, so you'll know automatically where they're going to go. Right? And pry them up. There. Being difficult. There we go. That's both of them off. Though it doesn't look like that one off. It's off. There we go. So those two are off. Then you'll see here, there's another little connector tab there. So we're going to pry it off like that. And then we'll move on up. And as we move up, you'll see here that there's a black screw there. We got to take that out. Careful with these things. Don't lose them. They're impossible to find. I've got them on a little magnet myself, so I don't lose them. And next, there'll be one more connector we need to remove, which is right here next to the camera. And it's basically the same. You just lift it up. Get a little edge underneath it, and there, lift it up. All right. Now, the main board's connected to the front housing in 3 places. Here, and on the other side, of course. Here, here, and down here. So we're going to start at the bottom. Sorry, I wasn't aware you couldn't see it. The main board's attached here, here, and down here to the main housing. And the one at the bottom, so we're going to start here at the bottom. Careful with this tab not to pull on it or yank on it or anything like that when we're pulling up the board. So I'm just going to go here like this and just pop it up like that, and you can see that the board is starting to lift off there. Okay, so just get the wires out of the way. Don't snag the tab connector right there. And then I'm just going to lift. Let me zoom back out a little bit. There we go. I'm just going to lift the board from here like so, gently, and there, it just pops off. All right, so there we've got the main board off the main board off the front housing. We don't need the front housing right now. What we need is what we see here, and that is the camera. The front-facing camera is right there. All right, and you know the infrared emitter is there, the proximity sensor, front-facing camera, and the connector to the board. And you'll see that there's 2 little holes on the housing there. They correspond to 2 little holes on the board itself, or the mounting bracket there itself. So when you're putting the new camera on, make sure that you get it aligned with those holes. That'll help get everything straight. So next we're going to pop this camera off, and all we do is just pry underneath this connector. Like I said, be careful not to break anything or, you know, go too hard on it. There you go, just like that. All right, and then there is a bit of adhesive on the original camera as well. I don't think the new one comes with one. So I'm just going to pry here until it pops off. And I hate doing that, but there we go. Off it goes. So there's the original camera. If we flip it around, we'll see what we have. And I don't see any front numbers, and those are very hard to read. I don't think I can get those zoomed in. Maybe you guys can read that, but it's printing over printing, so that's my problem there. So we're going to go next to put the new camera in. Yeah, I can't even read that. It does say AT on it though, N10AT. Okay. Now, the new camera doesn't say N10AT on it. It just says N10, I believe. Let's see. N10F. Well, I hope this works. Otherwise, we'll be shooting it again when I get the right camera. But there's what the new one says. The other one said N10AT. So, putting it back in is just the exact reverse procedure of taking it out. Like I said, there's 2 little nibs on that mounting board there where the camera sits. Make sure that you get it correctly aligned, like so. Actually, more or less correctly aligned when you clip it into the connector at the bottom. So we're going to do that. Just put and it's, like I said, all you got to do is press on it, get it into the connector correctly. Shouldn't have to go too hard. There we go. There we go. There, that's it. Just press down until it clicks. That clicked that down nicely. Make sure that the camera connector for the back facing camera is still good, and it is, right? That's it. And then make sure that you sit the front sensor here correctly and the two little posts on the camera board there correctly as well. So I'm going to do that. Understand that you guys are looking at this on a zoomed camera. I'm looking at it with my eyes, and I'm a little further away from it than you guys will ever be. So there and there. There we go. Seems to be some adhesive that was still left there. That's good because that makes it sit down nicely. Once again, make sure this post, and this are seated correctly. See that? All right? So, and then we've got the N10F there. I don't know if we can see this on this one. This is the one I took off, but it does say N10AT on it. So I'm praying that this is right. We'll see in a minute. But there it is, mounted correctly on the board. Next, we're going to mount it back onto the front housing. Before we put the board, the main board back in, this thing, before we put that back in, I want to show you all the connectors that are involved in putting the main board back in. We have one down here at the bottom. This little tab here, these two wires, this socket here, and this socket here, the speaker connector here, and of course the camera port where the camera has to go in. Now be very gentle when you're putting all this stuff in, and then when you've got the board properly placed, we're going to press down on this area, and this area to get it all secured to the front faceplate, and then we'll put the rest of the connectors down. Okay, so let's do that now. And the trick here is to be gentle, right? Now these connectors here, just be careful with them because they have to go on top of the board. So, you know, basically it's just a little game where you play that you sneak these things around until they all fit in the right place. But be gentle with these connectors. These are very fragile. You don't want to break them. Same with the one on the camera. It's very fragile. And, you know, again, just be patient. You know, work with it a little bit until you get it all to fit right. It'll just fall into place when you get it right, really. Okay, so there, just like that. Now make sure these wires and connectors are above the board, both of them. There we go. This connector here above the board, this connector here above the board. Make sure you don't press down or hurt that in any way. Camera, put it into its little pocket. So again, like I said, be gentle. Don't push or pull real hard or anything. There we go. Camera's in its pocket. You know. Then we've got everything more or less situated, ready to be connected. We're going to connect the two top connectors, which are right around here, by pressing down on them. And then we'll do the rest of the physical connectors. So I'm pressing down fairly solidly. I hear it go click, click. They may not both go click, but one of them did here. So yeah, I'm pushing down quite hard, but not enough to break anything, but enough to make the connector go in. Now those are the two top ones in. We're going to put the bottom one in here, which is at the very bottom of the board here. So just press down on it. Hear it? Boom. Now we're ready to put the physical connectors that go to the top of the board on. And that's this one here, the speaker one. So you just press down on it. It'll go right into its slot. It's basically in the perfect spot already. Okay, so speaker connector there is done. This connector here. And now we got to do these two little wires, which are probably the toughest to align there. There they are. And I just used my screwdriver as a push tool on the top of those screws. Sorry, on the top of those connectors. And as you know, they're different lengths, so you really can't get them in the wrong place. I'm going to start with the gray one here. Hopefully you guys can see, yeah. And you can, if you listen carefully, you can hear them click in. That one's clicked in. And then the second one, I'm going to put it in its channel first, which will make it more or less fall in the right place. I just use my finger there, and I use the screwdriver just to press down and make sure it's in there. Don't go too hard, just snug it down like that. Make sure the wires are in their channel. And they are. Okay, so those are connected. That is connected. The board is connected physically underneath to this ribbon cable here. We'll go here. We know there's a connector under the board here and another one under the board here. Those are down and connected. There's a speaker connector there and camera is in its pocket. Next thing I'm going to do is put that little black screw back into the motherboard, and then I'm going to put the battery in. Before I place the mid frame on it, I'm just going to put the battery in and test it out and show you hopefully a working camera. Okay, got the black screw in. I'm going to put the battery in and power this up. So a preliminary test with just the board in and the battery. I'm going to turn this on. There's a little tab on the right side right there. You'll see, and there's a little silver disc right there. See that little silver button? So I'm just going to press down on that with my tool here. Lightly till it clicks. Phone's turned on. We'll do our little test here with the camera. Praying and hoping that I ordered the right one. I'm pretty sure I did. It did say compatible with the N10, sorry, with the N10A, which is what this is. So we'll let this boot up, and then we're going to test the camera and the proximity sensor. I really have no way of testing the infrared emitter. Maybe this camera will pick up infrared. I'm not sure. We'll see here in a minute anyway. Okay, we're back. See if that diagnostic is still running in the background. It is. There it is. And just so you know, the diagnostic code again into your keypad would be *#0 *#, and that's how you get into this. And let's do the front cam. Oh yeah, we're back. Awesome. Nice to see. All right, my camera's working. The sensor. Okay, let's see if that senses what. Oh yeah. So the sensor's working. Camera's working. Good, good, good. Got everything nice and squared off. Next thing, I don't know if I can do it. I'll try the infrared emitter. See if we can see it actually on the camera. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to see that or not. Let me try it anyway. Let's see. I'll turn off all the lights, as many as possible. The infrared emitter is right there. Let's see if the camera will see it. Yeah, it does. Look at that. You can see it's right here. I can't see it with my eye, but you can see it on the camera. Isn't that neat? Seriously, I cannot see that with my eye, but you can see it emitting right there every time I press the button. So if you got a camera, you can test it that way. All right, cool. So every function on that camera circuit that I bought works now. So good to see. And so yeah, let's put the mid frame back on and reassemble the phone. So here I'm just going to power it down and do that. Mid-frame is straightforward. It just snaps down on top of the phone. So just put it on top and press down on it all the way around. And you'll hear it clicking. Like so. You know, go around with your fingers. Make sure that it's all clicked in all the way around. And it is. Next I'm going to put these 16 screws back in. And then reassemble the phone and wrap this up. Well, actually, I'm going to test it one more time after I get it all assembled. And then we'll wrap it up. All 16 screws are back in. At this point, you would put your SIM back in and your micro SD card if you have one. A little difficult. There it is. There we go. And your S Pen. Don't forget that. Put that back in. And now the battery goes on. Personally, at this point, what I'm going to do is test it out one more time. Make sure it's cool. And I'm sure it will be, and then go from there. But I'm just going to finish this up by showing you the battery placement, which is those 4 contacts against those 4 contacts. Top of the battery first, bottom second. Press it down, get your back cover, and it just snaps on in all the way around. So, like so. And you are done reassembling that phone. Test it one more time. You should be good to go. I'm going to do that with my battery because this battery is totally dead. But I'll show you that in a second. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but all 16 screws are in nice and snug. Put this bad boy back in here. 1160 milliamp hours. Gotta love that. Power it up. Test it out. Oh, might as well just put the back case on here at this point. That's how hard it is to get at my battery. One of the reasons I'm hesitant to upgrade from this phone. I wish they did still make them so that you could easily get to the battery like this, right? Now, the reason you didn't hear any sound on the other boot ups is because when the mid frame has the speaker in it. So until you put the mid frame back on, you're not going to hear any sound out of the actual phone. All right. So let me put that swipe code in. I really do love this phone though. Okay, so once again, let's test the camera. We'll test it in both places and the proximity sensor as well. Again, star, pound, 0, star, pound. There we go. So star, pound, 0, star, pound. And we get back into the testing diagnostic screen. So let's go with the front cam. Hey. All right, awesome. It's working. And the sensor, the front proximity sensor. Isn't that neat? So cool. So yeah, proximity sensor is working. And infrared sensor we'll test next. Gee, I bet you didn't know that these video cameras can actually see infrared light, but they can. I wasn't too surprised. The emitter's right there, so you should see a light when I hit the button. See that? Isn't that neat? So we know the emitter is working. Right there. Awesome. So that's it. The camera's installed. The sensors are working. You know how to get that to work. Okay. Yes, fine. Well, I just selfied myself. But you can see there, it's working. Awesome. That's it for my video on replacing the front-facing camera, the proximity sensor, and the infrared emitter on a Samsung Note 4. If you liked this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a huge favor and click on the like button here on the bottom right and give me a big thumbs up. That helps my channel, it helps my video, and I greatly appreciate it. Also up here on the top corner, you'll see a picture of me. That picture is a subscription link. If you click on that picture, you'll be subscribed to my channel. As part of that process, you'll see a bell icon. And if you click on the bell icon, you'll be notified every time that I put up a new video, and then you can watch it at your own leisure. Once again, and like always, I want to thank you for your time and for watching.